From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, Jamaat Nasr al-Islam asks military to quickly prosecute killers of Yobe cleric. INEC, EFCC disagree on establishment of Electoral Offences Commission. Students beg ASU to call off strike, express fear of missing NYSC. And on the foreign scene, UN Rights Office expressed concern over planned trials of Ukrainian prisoners of war. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Hour. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. The Jamaat Nasr al-Islam, JNI, has called on the federal government and the leadership of the Nigerian army to, as a matter of fairness and justice, hasten the prosecution of the culprits responsible for Sheikh Mohammed Goni Aisami's death. The JNI, in a statement issued on Monday by its Secretary General Khalid Abubakar Aliyu, further stressed that justice must not only be done, but should be seen as done in all similar cases in the country to serve as a deterrent for others. Khalid urged government to ensure that the repeated tragedies are not swept under the carpet, adding that the JNI believes that the killings are usually well thought out. He stated that the killing of Sheikh Aisami demonstrates that crime has permeated all fabrics of Nigerian society and, to some extent, security agencies, and expressed hope that the situation will be arrested. Meanwhile, Yobe State Governor Maimala Buni has directed automatic employment be given to two sons of the late Islamic cleric Sheikh Goni Aisami, who was gruesomely killed last Friday near Gashua. According to a statement from the Director General, Press and Media Affairs, Mamman Mohammed, Governor Buni gave the directive on Tuesday when members of the family visited him to express their gratitude to the governor for his personal concern to the family. The governor, who vowed that government will investigate the circumstances surrounding the death of the cleric to ensure that the perpetrators are brought to book, also assured that government will continue to support the family as it has lost its breadwinner. Ibrahim Aisami, who spoke on behalf of the family, expressed appreciation for the message of condolence and visitation by a government delegation to commiserate with the family. He said the employment will cushion the hardships the family may suffer following the demise of the cleric. And the Zamfara State Committee on Prosecutions of Bandits-related offences says until Bello Turji, the notorious bandit kingpin, publicly surrenders his arms and announces his repentance, it will not consider his repentance as true. Chairman of the committee, Abdullahi Shinkafi, said this at a press briefing in Gusau, the Zamfara state capital. Shinkafi, who is also from Shinkafi local government area where Turji mostly operates, said for over 6 months there was no record of attack or mass abduction of persons in the area and other communities in Zurmi local government and neighboring Isa and Sabon Birni areas of Sokoto State. Shinkafi was responding to an earlier pronouncement by the Zamfara State Deputy Governor Hassan Nasiha that the bandit leader had embraced a peace deal. Shinkafi bemoaned what he described as the prolonged investigations and delayed prosecution of arrested bandits and other collaborators. Ocean State Police on Tuesday arraigned 7 men in court for allegedly attacking the wife of Ocean State Governor Kafayat Oyetola. The police prosecutor, Asambe Kayode, told the court that the accused persons damaged vehicles in Oyetola's convoy and injured aides and security personnel attached to her. Trust TV's Hamid Oyegbade reports that the accused persons pleaded not guilty, while their counsel, S.A. Benley, prayed the court to grant them bail. In his ruling, Magistrate I.R. Salami granted them bail with 500,000 naira and 2 shorties in like sum. The case was adjourned to 26 September 2022. The Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Ismail Omipidon, lamented that there have been a series of attacks on Oyetola's aides and APC members in the state after last month's governorship elections.
On the 17th of July, when the INEC announced their candidate as the governor-elect, you all saw what happened. They went on rampage, destroying our people, destroying some of our properties, attacking, even some cabinet members, of the government. So this shows clearly that these people are prepared for violence all along. The case of Ede is a classical one. They were having their meetings, and there was disagreement, among them, and in the process, they killed two of their persons. Unfortunately, they tried to rope APC into it until the mother of the children came out openly to say that she was a PDP chieftain, and that she is even a delegate of the PDP, and that her children are of the PDP.
Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, says electoral crimes, if not addressed, can subvert the democratic will of the electorate and enthrone corrupt leadership. The Speaker stated this on Tuesday during a one-day public hearing on a bill for an act to establish the National Electoral Offences Commission. The report.
The bill for an act to establish the National Electoral Offences Commission is a critical legislation which has been part of all national conversations on constitution and electoral reforms for the last 13 years. This gathering is aimed at getting the inputs and opinions of stakeholders to take necessary legislative steps to address identified challenges and block loopholes in the conduct of elections. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, who was represented by his deputy, Idris Wase, noted that electoral offences are self-inflicted injuries that should be avoided at all cost.
One will acknowledge that even our recent governorship elections in Ekiti and Osun State signifies milestone in Nigeria's democratic evolution. There is no doubt that a lot of work still needs to be done.
Provisions of the consolidated bill currently before the House of Representatives seeks to establish a commission that will be in charge of investigating and prosecuting electoral offences created under the bill or any other law related to electoral offences.
In our view, having the commission in place and functional will no doubt enhance the credibility of the electoral process and contribute immensely to the nation's drive to have free, fair and credible polls, since the provision in the enabling law will serve as a disincentive to those wishing to perpetrate electoral offences.
Stakeholders, while considering the 46 clause bill, are also recommending that jurisdiction and special powers of the court include electoral offences tribunal.
However, there were still observed issues, malpractices, especially during the electioneering processes, the most common being the issue of voter buying and manipulation of electorates.
When offences are identified and prescribed in a law, it's important that the punishment for it be commensurate with the offence identified. Looking at the Electoral Offences Commission propositions here, it includes that the proposal that says that at least 20 years imprisonment for ballot snatching. I think that is overwhelming.
However, the Economic Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, kicked against the bill, suggesting that existing law enforcement agencies should be strengthened to achieve maximum output rather than creating a new agency for investigating and prosecuting electoral offences.
It's our position that there's no need to create an agency solely for the purpose of investigating and prosecuting electoral offences, most especially when our electoral processes is seasonal in nature, meaning that the elections are held once in 4 years in the country.
The submissions gathered by the committee will be presented to the House upon resumption.
The Indian Minister for State for External and Parliamentary Affairs, Velamveli Muralidharan, says the world's largest democracy is willing to partner Nigeria to ensure successful general elections in 2023. Muralidharan disclosed this on Tuesday at the State House, Abuja, when he was hosted by President Muhammadu Buhari. The envoy, who was in Abuja to take part in the Nigeria-India Business Council, described Nigeria as the center of their engagement with Africa. The envoy, who brought greetings from the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, says Nigeria and India have robust relations in business, defense, education, and many other areas. President Buhari, in a statement by his spokesman Femi Adesina, said Nigeria and India must continue to build on the long-standing relationship for the benefit of both countries. And to politics now, where the presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, Rabiu Kwankwaso, wants rehabilitation of Apapa Port Access Road in Lagos State fast-tracked to address traffic congestion. Kwankwaso made the call at a town hall meeting with maritime stakeholders on Tuesday in Lagos. According to him, the country really needs to plan for the future of the maritime sector, as it is critical to the growth and survival of the economy of the country. The candidate said that his experience over the years as a former Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, former Governor and former Minister of Defence had availed him with some basic understanding of the maritime sector and especially some of its challenges.
I am optimistic that being here today and listening to this cream of stakeholders of this all-important industry will help in no small way in our efforts to tackle the challenges of the sector immediately we are voted into office in 2023.
And the need for social media supporters of different political parties and candidates to restrict themselves to issue-based campaigns ahead of the 2023 election has again been emphasized. This comes as politicians brace up for the official commencement of campaigns in September. The report.
In Makurdi, the Benue State capital, residents have raised concerns over political bickering and smear campaigns by social media handlers. Those who spoke to a reporter called on politicians to guide their supporters through issue-based campaigns.
Because if they are not supporting the actions, tacitly supporting the actions of their supporters, I think it will not continue. Because the leaders are actually a reflection of their followers. So if your followers are doing this and you are keeping quiet and not calling them to order, then it means you have ratified their actions and they feel that is the best way they are showing support to you by attacking others, and then it continues like that. So I think they have a big role to play in calling their media handlers, image makers, and so as well as their supporters to order.
They also say there are quite a number of problems to be addressed in the country rather than acrimonious politics. While insisting that Nigeria's democracy has come of age for politicians to adopt best practices as sustainable in mature democracies, residents want supporters focus on issues clogging the wheel of progress in the nation instead of acrimonious politicking.
So we need people who can come up with new ways of settling our problems. That's what needed to have been done. Unfortunately, this is not the case. What we have now is political parties, their candidates and supporters running down on others, their opponents, cashing on the weaknesses of their opponents or other political parties to inform the public, to become the issues of campaign before the public. And so until we begin to cultivate the idea of telling Nigerians what uncommon you can do, the idea of issues-based campaign will continue to elude our electoral process.
They want the electorate to demand accountability from elected leaders, adding that by so doing, issues hindering the nation's growth will be addressed, especially if such demands are championed by the youths.
It's a slap on our face that when we vote in people, we don't really check on their activities. It is not right, because you have even the constitutional powers allows you to recall any person that is not really working for the interests of the people who voted them into office. So it's a constitutional right that we have to look towards activating that aspect of the law too. Anybody who feels he occupies any public office and he's not really ready to hear the cries of the people that voted him or his constituents. I think they have the powers to challenge him so that he will come back to order.
Attacks on individual candidates rather than issues have dominated the social media space, with supporters of candidates overheating the polity, even with a ban on campaign by political parties yet to be lifted.
The Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, NIPR, in collaboration with 70 other organizations, is set to hold the grand finale of its Citizen Summit on National Integration, Peace and Security. The need to foster national integration, rebuild peace and strengthen security in the country gave rise to the summit, which the NIPR President Mukhtar Siraju describes as a solution-driven initiative to address issues of national cohesion and reconciliation. The report.
The conference is designed to bridge the widening trust gap between the leaders and the citizens, as well as amongst the citizens, through promotion of national integration and enhancement of cross-country peaceful coexistence. Chairperson of the summit, Dere Awoshika, in a keynote address says the glue that bands nation together is national integration.
On a regional landscape, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement has been able to gradually ensure the seamless trade of goods and services between countries with their various regional bodies. It is my utmost belief that a similar system needs to be put in place within the country.
President Muhammadu Buhari, represented by the Minister of Information and Culture, said the concept of reopen conversation, rebuild trust as the summit's theme could not have come at a better time, as Nigeria is still battling the problem of insecurity, fake news and misinformation.
This summit couldn't have come at a better time, with the issues of peace, security and national unity on the front burner of our national discourse. In recent times, in particular, the issues of peace and security have been on the lips of many Nigerians against the backdrop of rampaging terrorists, bandits, and kidnappers. I want to say that under the purposeful leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, who has directed the military to crush those terrorists, those terrorizing our citizens, peace and security are gradually being restored to the country.
The chief host and minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Muhammad Bello, said the NIPR is in a critical position to push the message of peace and national integration to Nigeria.
These challenges, as daunting as they may seem, are certainly not insurmountable, and it's common knowledge that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari has displayed a strong and unwavering commitment in resolving them, particularly in our indivisibility as a nation. As public relations experts and perception managers, the NIPR is in the best position to push forward this approach of uniting us, identifying the factors that divide us.
The summit featured a presentation of reports of the Zonal Dialogue Series, unveiling of the new NIPR logo, and representations from relevant MDAs and non-governmental organizations in Nigeria. Martiya Umar, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, Christians and Muslims in Jos North local government area of Plateau State are breaking the ethno-religious barriers that polarize the state capital along religious lines following the crisis that swept over the state in 2001. Ado Musa takes a look at how people are defying ethno-religious barriers. The report.
Years after the first crisis in the city center of Jos in 2001, where thousands were killed and many more displaced, confidence between Christians and Muslims is beginning to resurface. The 2001 crisis, which falls along ethno-religious lines, took away the beauty of peaceful coexistence between the many people of the once peaceful town. The recurrence of the ethno-religious conflicts has further polarized Jos into Christian and Muslim communities. Many think that Those who leave their areas to other communities for whatever reason usually put their lives at risk, considering the nature of the crisis in the state. However, despite the upward trend of separation and segregation among the warring communities, which resulted to insecurity, there are people who are still breaking the ethno-religious barriers in the state, especially in Jos. They said it is easier to live in harmony than in crisis. I do come from a Christian community of Faringada area to Angorogo to sell roasted maize for almost 10 years now. Despite the recurrence of the crisis in Jos, nobody has ever threatened to kill or intimidate me. My prayer is, let there be peace so that there will be development. There is still hope that we can still mingle with one another. There's no day that I will not come here except if I'm not well. I have been coming here for the past 5 years and nothing has happened to me. If you really want to do business, you must mingle with people of other faiths or ethnic groups. Business doesn't know religion or tribe. Any day I don't come, they ask for my whereabouts. Our relationship is very cordial in spite of what happened in the past. I come here and spend hours selling onions. Nothing has ever happened to me. I go around this area. I was never abused, not to talk of attempting to kill. The fact that there was crisis, some people have forgot what has happened. I call on people to know that we are all created for a purpose. We should embrace one another for the sake of peace and unity. I believe that sooner or later, people will realize that it is better to live with one another, irrespective of our differences. Various individuals and groups also pray that Jos residents will understand the power of unity and living in peace with one another for the development of the state. From Jos, Ado Musa reporting for Trust TV.
The Nigerian Guild of Editors and the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, have instituted a lawsuit against President Muhammadu Buhari and the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, over the shutting down of 53 broadcast stations in the country for failing to renew their licenses. The two organizations, who allege that the NBC Act and the Broadcasting Code were arbitrarily used to threaten and revoke the licenses of the stations, also joined the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, in the suit as a defendant. The NBC had last week revoked the licenses of 53 broadcast stations and threatened to shut down their operations within 24 hours over an alleged 2.6 billion naira debt. The regulatory body of the broadcast stations, in a statement last week, asked all the stations to pay all outstanding license fees on or before August 23, 2022, or shut down by 12 a.m. on August 24th. You're watching Trust TV News Hour. And still to come on the news, adult education for internally displaced persons. Details of this and more after the break. Please stay with us.
That's great. That's good.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Hour. Now another look at our top stories. Jamaat Nasr al-Islam asks military to quickly prosecute killers of Yobe cleric. And INEC and EFCC disagree on establishment of Electoral Offences Commission. And in other news, Media Trust Group is exploring mutually beneficial business with Taj Bank Limited, an emerging non-interest bank in Nigeria. The Group Chief Executive Officer, Media Trust Group, Munir Gwarzo, led the management team on a courtesy visit to the corporate headquarters in Abuja. The report.
The management team of Media Trust Group were received by the managing director and top management staff of the bank. The team lead, Munir Gwarzo, who is the Group Chief Executive Officer Media Trust Group, commended Taj Bank for the enormous achievement it had attained within just few years of operation in Nigeria. It is enough reason for the Media Trust Group to seek to be part of that success through a robust collaborative initiative.
So we came to greet you, to thank you sincerely because from the briefing I received, we've been having business with Taj Bank. And we also congratulate you for the good work you've done. I've watched your last AGM a few months ago, and I know you're operating at a very difficult environment, even though you have created your niche, but that niche has not been developed to that extent. And one can see in the last 2 years what you guys have achieved. And we want to be part of that success story. We want to thank you for the patronage. We also want to appeal for more collaborations with us.
You can watch Trust TV anywhere in the world via YouTube or our website. So that's our reach. I think on free to air we just started less than a year. There are over 120 channels, but we are number 3 at the moment. So it's quite. I think this is the fastest growing TV in Nigeria ever in terms of the numbers we are making at the moment.
Responding, Managing Director of Taj Bank Hamid Joda welcomed a fruitful collaboration with the Media Trust Group on all platforms, reiterating its commitment to ensuring that Taj Bank competes favorably with its peers for the benefit of Nigerians.
We, as you very well know, we started as a regional bank, and when we opened our doors, I think one of the first places we visited at that time was Media Trust. We had a meeting with your team. And from there, we sought to activate a mutually beneficial relationship. We have a very robust agenda that we have a strategic plan. And we believe you are strategic partners in that arrangement that we have. So I think the two teams should start engaging each other immediately.
The underlying focus for collaboration by these two groups, which are leaders in their different fields, is upliftment of the ordinary Nigerian by identifying with their challenges. Martia Umar, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And to education now, where university students have pleaded with the Academic Staff Union of Universities to suspend its current strike to enable them continue with their studies. The appeal followed the suspension of strike by SANU and NASU. The report.
Students said the prolonged ASU strike has caused them untold trauma, with others lamenting that they may not be eligible to participate in the National Youth Service Corps NYSC scheme due to age.
Strike is not anything new. I got into school in 2018 and I should be graduating by now, but I'm still in 300 level because we've been having consistent strikes. So by now, any student who means to, do something really nice for their future should know that the federal government and the ASU are really not, getting along. For Benue State, for example, you can go to the farm. This is the farming season. So many things.
ASU is that they should also consider by resuming back to school, because the strike has really affected us for we the students. Like me, I'm supposed to be a graduate now, but because of the strike and even my youth service is at stake.
ASU is taking this thing too far. It is true they like normally if they go on strike, things usually lessen down. But in this case, ASU has taken this thing too far. I mean, it is close like 7 months, going to 7 months now. ASU is still on strike.
For others, it is time for the government to do the needful and save the future of young people seeking university education in Nigeria.
I just want to call on the federal government and the ASU to try and settle their differences. This is not the time to blame each other. we students, we are at home and we are not happy about it at all. Usually I was supposed to be graduating next year, but because of the long strike, I don't think it will be possible for me to graduate next year again. And you can see it's delaying students a lot. So I just want to call on the federal government and the ASU to try and settle whatever differences they have.
The university unions down tools since February, demanding for earned allowances, infrastructural deficits as well as payment options. SANU and NASU have suspended the strike to give way for further negotiations. ASU, however, insists its salary arrears accumulated because of the no work no pay policy be paid before it can suspend the over 6-month strike.
Meanwhile, the Gombe State University chapter of the Academic Staff Union of Universities has kicked against the resumption of academic activities in the institution following a directive by the university management. Trust TV's Ibrahim Ismail spoke to a cross-section of 100-level students who were supposed to resume on the 22nd of August 2022.
The nationwide industrial action by ASU that stretched for almost 6 months further exposed the rot in the country's educational sector. On 18th August 2022, the management of the Gombe State University ordered students of 100 level to resume on Monday 22nd August 2022 to complete registration and start academic activities. Some of the students said they had lectures and were very delighted with the development before the continuation of the industrial action by the ASU was announced.
I attended Gens today, English, and I feel great to be back in school after 6 months of holiday. Back then, when we went on strike as of February, March, I was reading my handouts, but because of the way the strike was now extending, I had to stop reading because it was as if we will never go back to school again.
Yes, I really feel bad because I want to continue my studies so that I should finish my graduation the same year as I'm supposed to graduate.
I feel like what's their point? They don't have any point. They don't have any reason for stopping us from. Since the management of the school have already agreed, then what's their own point of not allowing us? Because we are just 100 level. We just started the semester. We've not yet ended it because other levels had already finished. They've already written their exam. So they are going to allow us based on saying we've not finished. We've not even started first semester. We've not written our exam. We've not even done our matriculation. So even if it's just for us to come and finish this 100 level or this first semester, and then there shouldn't be a problem. But for the fact that ASU members are in the management of JSU don't agree to it, it's not right. That's not right at all.
Trust TV visited the ASU secretariat at the university, but the leadership of the union declined comment, pointing that its position to continue with the strike was clearly stated on the circular released on Monday. Efforts to speak to management of the Gombe State University on the matter was also not successful. However, experts believed the social impact of the ongoing ASU strike cannot be understated. They hope FG and ASU will be able to reach an amicable solution soonest. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
Now, insecurity in Nigeria is drastically eating up the education sector to the extent that both students and teachers and the government are being frustrated, leading to educational decay. The insecurity situation has, however, increased the number of out-of-school children and even young adults. That calls for urgent and extraordinary measures to combat the menace. In this report, Jamil Mabai reports on how youth and other concerned citizens in Katsina are changing the narrative.
One of the effects of insecurity, apart from the displacement of citizens, hunger, and lack of access to healthcare, is the stressed education system. Young children and adults find it difficult to adapt to their new realities of living in the urban city due to illiteracy. It is against this backdrop that concerned youth in Katsina State are engaging families who were displaced by insecurity in adult education to revive the lost hope. Rahama Rabiu, a mother of 3, said even though they cannot forget the trauma they experienced, she is excited for this opportunity.
We will never forget the trauma we went through, but the joy we feel from the improvement is in our children and us. We went through a lot, but God decided to bring people that will be kind to us and our children. Our children have been enrolled back to school, and we have adult education for the parents. We are happy. We have been living in the dark, with neither Islamic or Western education. We are grateful for this opportunity. I want to become a teacher and teach children. How we treat our men has improved. We have become of age, and even if we couldn't get to become doctors or teachers, we can at least learn to operate even a phone. That alone is an achievement.
I love you. It might not have the conventional educational settings. This uncompleted space is their classroom. Yet, they are excited beyond words. Experts believe these classes are therapeutic in nature and will go a long way in giving these displaced persons a sense of belonging, rekindling the lost hope. Jamil Mabai, reporting for Trust TV, Katsina.
And from education, we take a look at agriculture, where the federal government says it will prioritize extension services to effectively achieve national food security. Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development Muhammad Abubakar stated this at a 2-day workshop on strengthening agricultural extension service at the grassroots held in Lafia, Nasarawa State. Abubakar Abdullahi sent in the report as presented from our studios.
Participants at the annual workshop are members of National Agricultural Extension Services Development Committee. The purpose is to review progress in the federal government subsector and look into emerging issues of alternative resources that will enhance agricultural extension services in Nigeria. Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development Muhammad Abubakar, while declaring the workshop open, said the federal government is giving priority to extension services to ensure national food security.
The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, under my leadership, believes that the restoration of the ADPs should be a priority to achieve our mandate of ensuring national food security as a means of attainment of Sustainable Development Goals 1 and 2. That is, poverty reduction, eradication, and zero hunger.
He said in doing so, the agricultural extension services will focus on small-scale farmers as a vehicle for accelerating agricultural production. Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule, on his part, said activities of the extension workers play a significant role on smallholder farmers, while Emir of Lafia, Shidi Bage, represented by Emir of Nasarawa Usman Jibrin, said all hands must be on deck to strengthen extension services at the grassroots.
It is imperative to state that the importance of extension services in helping smallholder farmers cannot be overemphasized in view of the capacity of the agricultural extension agents to assist in the teeming number of farmers that we have at the grassroots level and in managing the challenges of the climate change and technological advancement in the country. I believe that the theme of this workshop, which is strengthening the ADPs for effective agricultural extension service delivery at the grassroots level in Nigeria, was conceived in order to equip the extension agents with new ideas and techniques towards achieving sustainable food security and resilience.
The speakers asked participants to pass on the lesson learned to the grassroots farmers.
The House of Representatives Committee on National Security and Intelligence on Tuesday began investigations into the attack at the Kuje Correctional Center that led to the escape of 64 inmates. The committee chairman, Shaban Saraba, on Tuesday in Abuja said the House resolution to investigate the attack was sequel to a motion moved at plenary. He said that the House in July inaugurated a joint committee on national security in the wake of the attack to investigate and come up with possible recommendations that will forestall a reoccurrence. He said that the committee would ascertain the roles played by security and intelligence agencies in the security breach and proffer ways to mitigate against reoccurrence. The Police Service Commission has suspended the 2022 recruitment of constables after a protest by the force headquarters. The PSC, in a statement by the head of press and public relations, Ikechukwu Ani, on Tuesday said the suspension of the recruitment exercise was to resolve all contending issues with the Nigeria Police Force. The Commission said its action was in the interest of the nation and enjoined all interested applicants to be patient while the issues were being resolved. The PSC had on August 11th issued a publication in the media on the commencement of the 2022 recruitment of constables into the Nigeria Police Force. The force headquarters, however, said it had no connection with the advert, which it said was not in tandem with the police recruitment process, and called on the public to disregard it. You're still watching Trust TV News Hour. The news continues shortly. Stay with us.
Every patriotic Nigerian should hear this. Any politician who means well for the people will never allow themselves or their supporters to engage in any violent, destructive activities. No politician who truly wants to serve the people and develop the nation will encourage his followers to destroy properties or take human lives before, during, or after the elections. The Nigerian public must watch out for these traits and isolate any politician who encourages supporters to engage in violence. No genuine politician or patriot will cause trouble and seek to destroy the very society which they aspire to lead or develop. Politicians who have the good of the people at heart will not allow themselves or their followers to engage in violence, destruction of properties, and then taking of lives. Be vigilant. By their words you shall know them. Shun violence. Stay away from politicians who want you to do so. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NORA.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Hour. Nigeria and the United States government have reached an agreement on the return of over $23 million of the Abacha loot. The agreement signing ceremony was held on Tuesday at the office of the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami. While Mr. Malemi signed on behalf of the Nigerian government, the U.S. ambassador to Nigeria, Mary Beth Leonard, signed on behalf of the U.S. government. According to Malemi, the funds, when returned, will be invested in 3 ongoing projects by the federal government, including the ongoing Abuja-Kaduna Road and the second Niger Bridge. Nigeria has in the past recovered several other tranches of the Abacha loot, which are proceeds believed to have been diverted from public coffers by the military administration of General Sani Abacha in the 1990s. And Nigerian government and experts in the oil and gas sector have expressed concern over the monumental oil theft in the Niger Delta region. As a result of illegal activities, it has become difficult for the nation to meet its quota set for oil-producing countries by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC. The presidency says it is set to unmask those behind the economic sabotage, but an expert says decisive action is needed to halt the menace. Trust TV's Chamun Dabeng reports.
Nigeria's oil sector is struggling to attain its full potential, largely to oil theft and pipeline vandalism. The destructive pattern has cost Nigeria $1 billion in revenue within the first quarter of 2022. Despite the fact that the country is losing millions of barrels of crude oil, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, recently increased Nigeria's quota. With such challenges, can the country meet up?
We don't need these 650,000 barrels refinery in Lagos of Dangote. Nigerians should not put so much hope, because Dangote, as a businessman, he will refine the products and sell at international market. Today, because of oil theft, NNPC cannot, when they produce around 900 barrels per day, your brothers and sisters, they will steal half of it, and they are Nigerians.
Senior Special Assistant to Media and Publicity to the President, Garba Shehu, also speaks on the issue.
Some actors in the law enforcement process are themselves complicit. It becomes, we are unable to meet our OPEC granted quotas. We used to fight OPEC, give us more quota. They give us quota, we are not able to. This is very embarrassing. And as we speak today, you know that the Nigerian Navy, the Army, they are massively involved. In fact, all of the security agencies are massively involved. I'm hoping that in the next few days, Office of the National Security Advisor will be presenting to the nation big men who are promoters of this kind of business, who are beneficiaries of it. They're being caught.
Due to the fact that Nigeria is highly dependent on oil, there is a need for the government to act quickly.
So I think the government must do something critically to make sure that they know all these people doing this oil bunkering. They should be brought to book.
According to the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, Benga Komolafe, theft in Nigeria has increased to a daily average of 108,000 barrels in the first quarter of 2022 from 103,000 barrels in 2021. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The House of Representatives Committee on Finance has discovered serious contradictions in the figures released by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, as power generated by Azura Power Company from 2015 to 2020. Azura Power Company signed a $33 million take-or-pay contract with the NBET for the power generation of 450 megawatts to the national grid. But records by the TCN showed a far cry from that figure. The report.
The House of Representatives Committee on Finance, investigating the sale of 5 power plants in the country, has unraveled infractions in the power generation contract between Azura and Nigeria Bulk Electricity Trading. The contract amount of $33 million was to enable Azura supply 450 megawatts to the NBET for eventual sale to the Transmission Company of Nigeria. But the committee, however, discovered serious infractions in the amount of energy generated by Azura monthly in contrast to the 450 megawatts expected.
Not only Azura, by generating companies. That's why you are here before us. Everybody was here on Friday, and they will still be here tomorrow or tomorrow too. So it's not closed. I'm only asking you from your own function as an evacuator of power, what power you have been evacuating from a 450 power generation company. We have not gone into other power generation companies.
This prompted lawmakers to further demand clarifications on total supply of energy demand and consumption by Nigerians.
But there is an average consumption demand of the people who use Azura's services. What is that average consumption demand?
What we have given to you here are the figures TCN has evaluated right from the inception in December 2017. That's when they commenced the operation. So in other words, you cannot tell me this one 1,755,900. You cannot tell me how many megawatts. You don't know. I know, Chairman, 1,755.9 megawatts. That is what it is.
The market operator is the man that administers the fund that is being generated in the whole power sector. So he decides what goes to TCN, he decides what goes to all the generating companies. So they are more or less independent.
The committee was dissatisfied with the information provided by the TCN representatives. As such, insisted that the DG, TCN, appear in person to give answers to the nagging questions bothering the committee. The committee adjourned to Tuesday for further hearing.
We will now join Chamun Dabeng for more business news.
The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, says bank loans to oil companies engaged in the upstream and downstream sectors of the country's oil and gas industry totaled 5.93 trillion naira as of June 2022. Operators in the upstream and services subsectors owed banks 1.65 trillion naira, while those in the downstream natural gas and crude oil refining subsectors owed banks 4.28 trillion naira. This represents an increase of 250 billion naira from the $5.68 trillion in debt as of December 2021. The Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PENGASSN, had previously expressed concern in March on the significant losses experienced by oil and gas companies as a result of theft and vandalism. The president of PENGASSN, Festus Osifo, reported that between October 2021 and February 2022, operators vandalized more than 90% of the crude oil they poured into the transnational pipeline. Nigeria's trade surplus decreased month over month by 50.8% from $1.89 billion in March to $930 million in April 2022. This is due to an 8.4% decline in total trade from $11.78 billion in March to $10.79 billion in April. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, disclosed this in its monthly economic report for April, that crude oil export receipts decreased month over month by 15% from $5.32 billion in March to $4.51 billion in April. Regarding non-oil exports, it was noted that weakened global demand as a result of concerns in Eastern Europe had negatively impacted non-oil export performance. The data showed that non-oil export receipts decreased by 18.5% to $0.74 billion from their value in March. The National Union of Air Transport Employees, NUATE, has warned that if the problem of stranded funds is not resolved soon, air transport workers employed by foreign airlines in Nigeria would soon be out of a job. The union's General Secretary, Ochemeaba, in a letter to the Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, claimed that trapped funds posed a threat to the livelihood and employment of thousands of foreign airline employees if further cuts in service or a complete shutdown of these airlines' operations occur. Abba warned further that if the situation is not resolved quickly, various service providers that rely almost solely on foreign airlines such as ground handling, in-flight cuisines, logistics and aviation security, among others, may suffer concurrent losses, including jobs. That's all for Business News. I am Chamun Dabeng.
And now for a look at the foreign scene, where the United Nations Human Rights Office on Tuesday expressed concern over plans by Russian-backed authorities to try Ukrainian prisoners of war in the port city of Mariupol, possibly within days, saying such a process could itself amount to a war crime. Spokesperson for the Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Ravina Shamsadani, says Russian-backed authorities appear to be installing metal cages in a hall in Mariupol as part of plans to establish what they are calling an international tribunal. She said willfully depriving a prisoner of war the right to a fair trial would amount to a war crime by Russia, adding that Ukrainian prisoners of war were entitled to protection under the Geneva Convention. And in sports, the need for people-oriented sports administration in Nigeria that will ensure the development of the game in the country has been stressed. A sports administrator in Nigeria stated this on the sidelines of the NFF election scheduled for September 2022. Adeni Ajishafe has more.
As the Nigerian Football Federation election gets closer, Nigerians are waiting to feel the fresh air of better performance blow on football in Nigeria. This is due to the setbacks suffered by the Federation in the not-too-distant past. These setbacks have cut across all facets of football, ranging from Super Eagles to Super Falcons, under-8 football, grassroots football, big soccer, league football, and other areas of interest in Nigerian football. With sports uniting all and football being the leading sport that unites the most populous black nation in the world, pundits believe that it deserves better handling. Since the announcement of September 30 as date for Nigerian Football Federation election, many Nigerians have come out to declare their intention to become the NFF president, while many more expected to follow suit. One of such Nigerians who has declared interest to run for NFF top position is Barrister Musa Ahmad. He says it's time to restore the image of Nigeria in football.
Our biggest sell is our image. Our image is reflected not just in words but in our actions. And I can take all the above actions, but only if all the stakeholders take the right direction and the right action. We want to create opportunities for people who hitherto would not have had a chance to be anywhere near a football field. Job opportunities that will that will take our youth off the street. Football opportunities that will empower every sector.
And that wraps up Trust TV News Hour for tonight. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Have a good evening.